Hello there boys and girls, it is I, the Suited Gamer Guy, and if you actually pay attention to my YouTube channel name, you'd see that the word gamers in there. Now this channel hasn't had that many gaming videos, so I decided to bring you guys a top 10 video of the top 10 video games to me. This is the top 10 video games I love the most, I cherish the most in my entire gaming life, which started with the PS1. So this is going to be quite a elaborate list. Realize that I'm gonna have to put trilogies and series in here. So if a game is in a trilogy, I'm gonna put down the trilogy in there as a whole. Otherwise, this is not gonna be a varied list. There's gonna be like 5 spots taken by one series or so. So in any case, realize that if a game is not in here and you dispute with it, either A, I haven't played the game, so I can't really put it on the list if I haven't played it. B, I've never heard of the game, or C, I didn't like the game as much as you've liked it. Realize this is a very tough list to make out of all the games I've played, and I've played so many games in my lifetime. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you have your own list, put it down in the comments below. In any case, let's get started. At number 10 we have the only Star Wars game on this list, but a game from the original Xbox days, Star Wars Republic Commando. This is probably the best Star Wars game I've played, being an FPS. I really liked it since you are a clone commando of a squad of clones who go into missions to face against droids and such, which is really fun. I've played this so many times. It's in-depth, it's dark, it's serious, and it's a good perspective to have. It's interesting how you're a clone, you're seeing how the clones see things. From birth you're a clone, from death you're a clone, and you have your squad, you command your squad, which is pretty smart AI, and the droids are actually, they're actually a fierce enemy that you play against. They're quite of an equal enemy. Unlike most Star Wars games where they're not that hard of an enemy, they're quite the equal kind of enemy, and you have to think tactically and shoot tactically. I really did enjoy this game, and I think everyone should really give it a try. You can find it on PC and Steam right now. At number 9 was quite a surprise to me, Spec Ops: The Line on the PlayStation 3. This game completely surprised me. I only played it because of PlayStation Plus service that gives you games for free. And from the outside, it looks like it's just a normal third-person shooter. But then what it really is something quite complex, being really well done as a third-person shooter. The combat and gameplay was done really well, really fun. But then it's all psychological with its story. Its story was done really well, giving you the kind of psychological aspect of war and how being a soldier, how it affects the mind. Going through this game, seeing the surroundings and the setting and the horrors you have to face, how it changes a person, how it changes you, your squad mates, and all that such. I really did like this game, and I think it's a must-play for a lot of people to see an interesting done third-person shooter that is done really well. At number 8 would have to be the horror franchise that I played on the PlayStation 3, the Dead Space trilogy. The Dead Space trilogy is a horror action franchise. I played the first one ages ago, and that scared the shit out of me. The first one especially. I think the first one is the best one, being the most scary one, while the second one being better and the third one was eh. But in any case, Dead Spaces were basically you as Isaac Clarke facing against an alien race, the Necromorphs, in like a spooky surrounding, trying to survive. It was done really well, but its action can be over the top with you having a massive gun and shooting waves of Necromorphs coming up behind you. The fact is I did find the settings really creepily done and well done. I did like the story they were telling with all the stories with how the Necromorphs were coming and how there was a religion surrounding the Necromorphs. Isaac Clarke's a well done character, and overall the games are just creepy, and I love horror games. So I think this is a great game for those people who like horror, and it's also a good game for people who like action. It's both, and it does both quite well to me. At number 7 would have to be the Batman Arkham games, being on the PlayStation 3. Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Batman Arkham Origins are really good games to me, and there's one coming out soon being Batman Arkham Knight. The Batman Arkham games probably having the best hand-to-hand combat and being the best superhero game ever made. Batman's a badass, Batman is not a terrible game, and Batman is Batman. You play as the Batman, and you're just going around fighting crooks, smashing their faces in, while being against the most major criminals from Arkham Asylum with the Joker, Arkham City with, you know, Scarecrow and the Joker and Killer Croc and all the types of Batman enemies. Arkham Origins was okay, but overall I do like this game having a really good combat mechanic, a good story, also had really good replayability with collectibles like the Riddler trophies and the riddles themselves. I really did like the riddles that were in the game. I really did love going around trying to figure out these kind of riddles. They give you a hint and you have to go find an object and scan it. They were done really well. I really do like these games. I think most people should try out this superhero game if they want to, you know, try out a good fighting superhero game. At number 6 would have to be the game that probably breaks everyone's head with how hard and difficult it is, would be the Souls games. Now the Souls games is quite a stretch for a series because it's not really. They're not really connected to one another, but they're pretty much the same game. So I'm pretty much going to call them the Souls games. So that means Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, and Bloodborne. Bloodborne being probably the best game on the PlayStation 4 right now. Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2 on the PS3. They're all hard. That's all I have to say, is that they're really hard. Not the essence that most people would take it that it's impossible. The fact is, they're hard to get used to. They're hard to understand what to do. But when you do that, you feel like a badass. The Souls games are something that most companies don't do. Most companies go, alright, we can't make it hard for people because otherwise they're just not going to play. This company dares to just, no, do it. Just go find out yourself. We're not helping you. The game does not help you at all. And the game's intense. The games also do something with their story that I really like. They don't just shove it in your face. There's no actual story if you don't want there to be a story. You can play the game and absolutely do not care about a single bit of the story and never have to be faced with any kind of story. The thing is, though, there is a story, despite what some people might actually think. If you actually look into the lore and such, there is quite an elaborate story behind everything. Reading all the item descriptions and such, which is really interesting to see and hear about. You can go on YouTube and find actual YouTube videos going in depth but in the story if you don't want to find it out for yourself. The Souls games, gameplay are really well done, and they are quite fair, being that you die, but it's fair, but you die a lot. And I love dying a lot and sharing at my TV a lot. I also find that it has probably the most interesting aspect of online I've played, being that the people online in the community can leave messages for you that you can read that can help you. They can invade your world, where they can gank you into oblivion, or you can summon someone to help you with a boss. I find this online aspect really well done. The internet connection is not the best, but I do find it interesting, and it's just not been done to this aspect before, I think. So I really do have to give the Souls games a lot of credit for being original and being hard. So please, you should go check them out if you want a pretty hard game, a challenging game, but at the same time an original game. And number 5 is quite a different game to the rest of all these games. It's the Project Diva series. I've only played Project Diva F and Project Diva F Second, being the only ones available to me on the PlayStation 3. But these are rhythm games, so that's a lot different from most of the games on this list. In any case, Project Diva is a rhythm game, and I'm not really that into rhythm games. I think the only rhythm game I played was Guitar Hero 3, which I really did like, but I don't really play it anymore. So why did I play Project Diva? Well, I played Project Diva F mainly because it's Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Miku is a Vocaloid. It's a whole thing I don't want to explain. You should go search up Hatsune Miku. It's basically in Japan, there's a software that is able to do vocals music. There's entire concerts for it, for God's sakes. And I really do love the Hatsune Miku Vocaloid music. I have it as probably 75% of my phone's music library. And these games bring out some of the best songs from Hatsune Miku, and they are really fun. I get really addicted to these games. They're really challenging. These are the Dark Souls of goddamn rhythm games. It's hard, it's unforgiving, but it's fun as hell perfecting combos, perfecting rhythmic kind of steps, and perfecting songs. I really love listening to the songs. I love the videos, the visuals of the music videos that are behind when you're playing the rhythm game are really pretty. They're really well done. They look like, I would be amazed to see this in the PlayStation 4, man. They look so well done. They're so well done that they can sometimes be a distraction for you when you're playing the game. In any case, if you really do want to try a rhythm game out, you want to try out Hatsune Miku songs, if you're a fan of anything like that, absolutely give Project Diva games a shot. They're really well done, and they're PlayStation 3 exclusives, so go check them out. They also have a system where on the network people can upload their own custom-made music videos for the rhythm game. It works in the way that they bring up the music video, but you have to have the song on your own PS3, which is, it's fair, because otherwise you're just going to get unlimited amount of free music for whatever. So, but for instance, I can do any song right now. I can put it up on that thing, make a music video, and tell people what music they need, and they have to put that on their PS3. It's really well done. It has unlimited replayability in that essence, and I find that it's just so addicting. Number 4 is quite a late entry into this list, since I only was playing this for the last couple of weeks, it being the Fatal Frame series. The Fatal Frame series is part of my favourite genre of all time, being survival horror. And the fact is, I do love scary things. I love when something scares me, and the truth is, not too many games nowadays are scary. However, this game from the PlayStation 2, which I only played recently, terrified me. And I love that. This game is actually fucking creepy as shit. This game does it so well that it actually makes ghosts scary. And let's face it, ghosts aren't really that scary at all. At pretty much any game. Any game that uses ghosts is usually not scary at all, but these games make ghosts scary. Basically, how the game works is your character gets the camera obscura. This is a camera that's able to see ghosts, able to take pictures of ghosts, and that's how it exercises the ghosts. So, what you have to do is take pictures of ghosts. You don't use guns or pipes or weapons of any kind, just a camera. Now that doesn't sound interesting, right? Well, you don't really shoot anything. But what you have to do is you have to make the ghosts come closer and closer and closer, and then snap them just as they're about to attack you. And believe me, with the whole sound effects and visuals going on, it's terrifying stuff. The ghosts look creepy as shit, and the sounds they make are creepy as shit, and they move around really creepily, and their attacks are scary. Oh, this game is actually really fucking horrifying. The setting of the games are also scary. As I said, with visual effects that happen, audio that's happening in the background is terrifying. And the fact that you're in a haunted mansion that feels haunted. You're in a haunted mansion that feels haunted in most of these games. You're in a haunted village, you're in a haunted house. All these things are quite well done in the fact that they're haunted. And they feel haunted. The game also does something really interesting. I find this really interesting, is how they base it off true rituals and true kind of Japanese ghost rituals, where you know, in the first one's about the calamity and the binding rituals and all and such. Basically, I'm not going to try and spoil it, but there's all these kinds of ghost-like and demonic rituals which are really interesting that you read about as you go on in the game. I found them super interesting to explore in these games, and they were done really well that they affected the story of the games themselves. These games, really well done that they got on my list. So absolutely, if you're a fan of scary games, you're a fan of PlayStation 2 games essentially, which by the way, these games visually look really impressive for a PlayStation 2 game. I'm playing them, and to tell you the truth, they look kind of better than some PS3 games. Like, they're unbelievable what they look like in their PlayStation 2 games. So if you have a PlayStation 2, or in fact you have a PCSX emulator on your PC, absolutely play the Fatal Frame games. Sad news though, Fatal Frame 4 and 5 cannot even possibly play, no matter what. A, they're on the Wii and Wii U since Nintendo now owns the rights to the Fatal Frame series. But B, they're not even in English-speaking countries. They're only in Japan. They're not importing them for some reason. There's no localization for, I don't know why. I hope there would be for people that have the Wii and Wii U, but you know, I'm never getting the Wii or Wii U, so yeah, there we go. Number 3 is, yet again, a game series from the survival horror genre. These games being also from the PlayStation 2 era. These games being the Silent Hill games. The good ones. That being 1, 2, 3, and I have yet to play 4. I have played other Silent Hill games like Origins and Homecoming and Downpour. Those are terrible. But the ones I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, and I have yet to play, but apparently 4, are really good and creepy and scary. And again, another game series done extremely well with horror that scares me. Silent Hill games are basically what's connected between them all is the town Silent Hill. Silent Hill being having a whole backstory behind it is a cursed town, kinda, I think. Silent Hill basically has its own character. It is its own character. And what it does is it allows the characters that you play as to go into Silent Hill and face their inner demons kind of thing. Silent Hill is full of monsters that your character has to face with like pipes and wooden legs and guns and such. So this does have combat. The combat is terrible. The combat system is terrible. It's not good. Why is this on my list still? Because it's bad, but that makes it a bit more scarier. The reason it's bad is because your characters, they're not, you know, military guys. These are normal dudes that can't really fight. So it's actually done terrible on purpose. They've made the combat terrible on purpose because it makes sense. And to tell you the truth, the terrible combat makes it really challenging and scary. The enemies' designs themselves are terrifying, and the fact that the setting of Silent Hill and where you are, and you're able to hear these creepy sounds, oh, it's such a terrifying experience to go through. Something I really like about the series, though, is the psychological horror behind it. The fact that this really fucks with you. The game fucks with you so much in so many places that so many different weird things happen. But also how it works with the story. Because how it works is that you can play the game and just see the story they chuck at your face. And just see that as the story. It's not that, it's like, alright, that's the story, fine, whatever. The fact is, if you actually look into it, there's such a deep story behind it. For instance, in my favorite, Silent Hill 2, where I can't spoil anything, but everything in the games, everything, like basically in your English class when you're doing film study, and you're thinking, they're talking about, oh, this camera angle, this dress makes it so the director wanted to do this, and you're like, bullshit. Everything like that is done in this game. All the costs, all the dresses, all the clothes, all the camera angles, all the lighting, all the kind of things that happen, all the cutscenes, they all have meaning. And they really all are powerful if you really look at it. I really love that. For instance, I'm not trying not to spoil it. For instance, in Silent Hill 2, every dead body that's male is the character you play as. It's that model. There's a reason behind that. I'm not going to spoil what the reason behind that is, but that's something of what I'm talking about here. Silent Hill also has terrible voice acting. Yet again, the point behind that is the terrible voice acting is because all the characters are supposed to weird you out. Successfully, it does that. All the voice acting, which is terrible, makes it so everyone feels awkward and weird, and it's supposed to. The Silent Hill games are done really well, and I really enjoy them. I find that anyone who wants to enjoy a good game, a great horror game, with some psychological story that you want to actually look into depth into, if you look at everything right, absolutely play the Silent Hill games. Silent Hill's also turned into a movie, by the way. The first movie was pretty good. The second movie's fucking terrible. Never watched that. But do realize that if you've watched the movie, do not base anything of what happens in the movies with the games. They got like 75-80% of that complete bullshit. They completely made shit up. So just realize that. Number 2 is actually something that a lot of people will probably put on their lists anyway, and completely, non-surprising. Here we have the PlayStation 3 exclusive, also on the PlayStation 4, which I have rebought, the remastered edition, The Last of Us. Now, I don't know what to say. Most people know why The Last of Us would be on this list, but might as well say it anyway. The fact is, this was probably the only game that I've anticipated so much and hyped up so much, and it actually met all my expectations and hype. I was waiting for this game ever since it was released, ever since it was announced, back in I think 2012 or 11 or 13, somewhere around there. And I was waiting for that game so long, thinking it was going to be Game of the Year, and guess what? It came out. It was absolutely Game of the Year. Oh, the game is done so well. Visually, it looks stunning. Story-wise, it was done pretty well as well. But the really main aspect I find with it is its aspect in detail and animation, and not to mention the gameplay. The gameplay is so well done. Being two types of it, being against people and against the infected, which are not zombies. Do not think they're zombies. They are not zombies. They are infected with the virus. I forgot the name of the virus. I'm sorry. The thing is, though, you play as Joel, who's got Ellie, which is kind of like a daughter figure, but she's not. And you have to basically going towards your single goal to find the cure through Ellie. This sounds like an ordinary plain story, which it kind of is. If you think about it, it's been done before. The thing is, though, with the characters and the character kind of progression, it's done really well. This is a really well done cliche story, so even that kind of thing can be done really well. Yet again, animation and gameplay and sound design make this game so well done that, in fact, what it also allows it is a horror aspect to the game, which I was not expecting. I was not expecting this game to be a horror game, but it kind of is. There's definitely aspects and certain places in the game which were pretty scary. When you have to sneak around the infected, it's pretty scary stuff when you're hearing people clicking and all that kind of stuff. That being said, yet again, I really do love horror games, so that's why this is up there a lot. I've played this game maybe 8 times in my life, so I had to play it more to get the second Platinum Trophy. And just as an added bonus, The Last of Us also has a multiplayer mode, which isn't shit. It doesn't feel too tacked on it. It's actually fucking fun. And people play it a lot. There's a lot of people on The Last of Us multiplayer. So if you want an absolutely well done single player experience with some of the best gameplay and a pretty well done story, pretty well done visuals, pretty well done animation, and a pretty fun multiplayer, absolutely great package. Go get the remastered edition on the PS4. The 60 frames per second, oh, it looks so smooth. Oh, Go play it. And lastly, for number 1, if anyone knows me, they know this was going to be my number 1. My absolute favorite trilogy of all time would have to be the Mass Effect trilogy, being the sci-fi RPG where you play as Commander Shepard, your own Commander Shepard, playing through all these 3 games. What I love the absolute most about these games are their story. Now, what I love the most about games in general is story. I fucking love story. And I personally loved Mass Effect's story, and I loved how it did it. All its characters are done extremely well. I loved all of their characters, despite the fact that some people didn't like some characters. I liked all the characters, and the character progression was done really well, especially the character progression of Commander Shepard. And the fact that I'm saying is, well, that's how you play. That's the character you play as. Because basically what I love the most is that throughout all 3 games, you keep your Commander Shepard. You import your save to the next game, with the decisions you make. This is a decision kind of game as well. You make decisions. So basically, throughout all 3 games, you're actually making your own Commander Shepard, with the kind of choices you made as Shepard, the kind of the way you speak to people as Shepard, your way your Shepard looks. All that is kept throughout all 3 games. And it is such a good feeling to have this own Shepard story that you've made, basically. Pretty much everyone's got their own different Shepard. Whenever anyone thinks about Commander Shepard, they have a different image in mind. I remember my first Commander Shepard. He is always going to be the Commander Shepard I think of when I think of Commander Shepard. Not that guy on the front cover. He's the guy I think of when I think of Commander Shepard. Apart from story, characters are extremely well done. The gameplay is also really fun. The gameplay I find done really well, especially in 2 and 3. Number 1's gameplay was okay, but 2 and 3's gameplay was done really well. It's really fun as an action game as well. It's tactical, and at the same time you're just blasting things away, and you have it's really well done. The Mass Effect universe itself is also something I'm a huge fan of. I really love the backstory and the entire plethora of back information of the universe and the different planets and the different technologies and the history and the different planets and the different galaxies and how the space time, and it actually makes sense with the whole how they managed to have faster than light travel. It actually makes sense. It's not ridiculous. The different species are greatly interesting, and I find basically everything in these games interesting. The story and the characters, yet again, they can churn some emotions a whole lot of times. Having some really hard decisions, really hard scenes, and some pretty damn depressing moments in time. Now, something you guys might be thinking, how the fuck is this number 1? How the hell is this number 1? Especially with that Mass Effect 3 ending. Well, here's what I gotta say. The Mass Effect 3 ending was utter trash. Fucking hated it. Hated it. I hated it more than I would normally hate something. But what that told me is, if I hate it this much, I probably love the journey so much more. And that's how I see these games, is that the journey is absolutely fantastic, but the final destination is pretty shite. Although with the extended cut, and I found the endings to be okay after the extended cut DLC, so that's alright. Also, Mass Effect 3, I have to say also, just as an added bonus, it also has probably the best DLC I've ever played, being the Citadel DLC, and you just have to play that. After going through all 3 games with these characters and being familiar with all of them, that's probably the funniest and best DLC I've ever played. Definitely go buy the Citadel DLC if you're going to buy any of them. So in any case, Mass Effect's definitely the best. Mass Effect 2 being my favorite out of the 3. And Mass Effect 1 probably the least. But absolutely, no joke, go play the Mass Effect games if you want a really well done story with some pretty okay combat. And if you don't like the combat in Mass Effect 1, do realise they do change it a lot in Mass Effect 2. Okay, so go check that out. So those are my top 10 games of all time. If you guys have any other kind of games you can think of, yet again, put that down in the comments. It'd be interesting to see what your top 10 games are. Don't forget to subscribe, where we'll actually have gameplay eventually. One day we'll have gameplay, I swear. And when we do, it shall be glorious. Any case, this is the Serious Gamer Guy, signing out.